They are not born, they are made. Each Grey Knight is forged from the ashes of another life, a child erased from history, their name stripped from all records, their existence deleted even from memory. The process begins deep within Titan, the moon that serves as both monastery and fortress. Those chosen are not merely trained, they are rewritten. Their flesh carved and rebuilt, their thoughts scoured by psychic flame until nothing remains but obedience to the Emperor. Where others pray, the Grey Knights meditate in silence. They do not seek faith, they are faith, incarnate, weaponized, perfected. Every gene seed, every scar, every implanted thought is a defense against corruption. To be a Grey Knight is to exist without doubt, without fear, without mercy. But the truth hidden beneath the armor and the purity seals is this: even the purest mind can fracture. Even the most faithful can hear the whispers of the warp. When a Grey Knight begins to die, his agony is not physical, it is spiritual. His mind, forged to resist demons, becomes their most desirable prize. And so the horror of a dying Grey Knight is not in his death, it's in what follows after. Purity is not a state of being, it is a burden, heavier than ceramite, sharper than a power blade. For the Grey Knights, purity is not a choice, it is their existence. Every breath, every thought, every heartbeat is measured against corruption. Their armor is sacred, their weapons blessed, and even their names are sigils of protection. But the truth behind their discipline is terror, the terror of imperfection. Each knight is trained to see sin where others see beauty, to purge thought before it becomes temptation, to despise the self before it can falter. They confess not to priests, but to the Emperor himself, through psychic communion that tears the soul apart and lays it bare before his divine silence. They do not dream. They are forbidden to. Dreams invite the warp, and the warp hungers for them. So they meditate instead, submerged in psychic resonance tanks, minds locked in battle even as they rest. Every day they are tested, psychic duels to the brink of death, interrogations by the Ordo Malleus, purity checks that peel back layers of memory like skin from bone. And when one fails, when a single thought betrays impurity, the knight is taken to the vaults of Titan. No one returns from the vaults. Some say they are executed, others say they are reforged. But the veterans know the truth. Failure is not punished by death. Failure is consumed, recycled into the gene seed of the next generation. In the Imperium, perfection is demanded, but perfection by nature is impossible. And so the Grey Knights live in constant contradiction, holy machines of flesh, built to wage war against the impossible. Their lives are victories, their deaths are prayers, their purity is agony. The greatest enemy of a Grey Knight is not the demon, it is himself. Every molecule of his body has been altered, reforged through decades of pain and sanctified augmentation. His blood is alchemic, his organs artifices of faith. His bones are etched with scripture so small that even magnifiers cannot reveal the words. He does not age, he corrodes. Their psychic discipline burns constantly, even at rest. Each thought is filtered through layers of mental wards, preventing the warp from seeping through. The strain of this control destroys lesser men in days. For a Grey Knight, it lasts centuries, and every moment feels like eternity pressing against the skull. They do not remove their armor, not ever. It is fused to them, bonded with sacred locks that connect flesh, steel, and soul. The armor breathes when they breathe, it bleeds when they bleed, and when infection spreads beneath its plates, it is not treated, it is exorcised. To maintain purity, their bodies are purged regularly by flame and energy fields. The flesh burns and the nerves scream, but the mind must remain still. A single scream would signal imperfection. A single word of pain would mean corruption. Their brothers do not comfort them, they observe. For the Grey Knights have no camaraderie, no friendship, no empathy, only mutual duty and silent judgment. A dying Grey Knight does not fear pain. He fears contamination. For if the warp touches his mind, even for a heartbeat, the purity of Titan is threatened. And when that happens, his death will not be his own choice. The Inquisitors will come, and their mercy will be absolute. The Grey Knight's purity is his weapon, but it is also his weakness. Each of them carries within their mind a fortress of iron discipline, walls built from faith, pain, and psychic control. But the warp does not attack those walls directly. It whispers, it tempts, it makes them see themselves. When a demon faces a grey knight, it does not strike with claws or fire. It mirrors his soul, showing him the part he buried long ago, before Titan, before the vows, before the erasure of his name. It speaks in voices he remembers, faces he thought forgotten. It reminds him that once he was human. That is the demon's greatest weapon, reflection. The battle between a grey knight and a demon is not fought in the material realm. It happens in the mind, a place where faith bleeds and reality fractures under the weight of will. For every psychic strike he delivers, the knight feels it return, tearing through his sanity. For every prayer he recites, the warp answers with laughter. When victory comes, it is hollow. The demon dies, but its echo remains, a stain buried deep within his consciousness. And as the years pass, that echo grows louder, a whisper in meditation, a flicker of shadow in his dreams, proof that even purity over time begins to decay. To the Imperium, the Grey Knights are the uncorrupted, but the truth is crueler. They are simply the ones who endure their corruption longer than anyone else. Each battle leaves a mark invisible to the eye. Each victory takes a piece of their mind. And when the final piece is gone, the demon does not need to possess them. It simply waits. Titan does not rest. It hums, a constant vibration of sanctity and secrecy, resonating through its halls of stone and adamantium. But for those who live here, it feels like silence, the kind that crushes thought and smothers memory. Every corridor is carved with prayers, every vault sealed with psychic wards. The fortress is alive, a sentient cathedral built to contain purity and bury sin. Here, the Grey Knights train, meditate, and die without witness. Their victories are never celebrated, their failures are never spoken of. Within the sanctum of remembrance, the names of the fallen are etched into walls that no one may read. The script itself is encrypted, sacred code meant only for the Emperor. The brothers pass those walls in silence, never daring to look too long, for to remember is to feel, and feeling leads to weakness. Each knight lives alone. Their cells are chambers of metal and stone, lined with relics that hum with psychic resonance. They do not sleep. They enter trance, minds connected to the Astronomicon, drawing strength from the Emperor's distant light. Some never return from that communion. Their minds simply fade into the psychic sea, bodies left behind as hollow armor. And yet, within that silence, there are whispers, echoes of the dead, voices that should not exist within Titan's sanctified walls. The chaplains say it is memory residue from the warp. The veterans say it is something else, something watching, something patient. Titan is the holiest world in the Imperium, but holiness in the 41st millennium is never pure. It is a barrier between faith and madness, a silence that hides the sound of the warp pressing against the walls. And for the Grey Knights who call it home, that silence is not peace, it is the sound of eternity, waiting. Death does not come quickly to a Grey Knight. Their bodies are sanctified, their blood reinforced with wards, their souls bound by oaths to the Emperor. They are designed to resist decay. Even in dying they serve. But their minds are mortal. The psychic strain of 1,000 battles cannot be purged by ritual or machine. Each encounter with the warp leaves a scar, invisible but deep. The Grey Knights call it echo sickness, the quiet intrusion of demonic thought that lingers long after the battle ends. At first it comes as dreams, then as voices, finally as memory itself turning against them. A dying Grey Knight no longer knows what is real. The Emperor's light flickers in his mind, replaced by visions of false sanctity, a cathedral built from his failures, its choir singing in demonic tongues. He prays, but the prayers sound wrong. He fights, but his blade moves before his command. The warp does not need to possess him. It only needs to remind him of what he is. Human. When a Grey Knight begins to hear his own voice whispering from the warp, his fate is sealed. He will not be allowed to live long enough for the corruption to take root. His brothers will come. They will not speak. They will not hesitate. They will grant him what they call absolution by purity. His death will be silent, his name erased, his armor melted down to purify the metal. Only the ashes of his psychic essence are kept, stored in reliquaries beneath Titan, humming faintly with residual energy. The Imperium will never know his name. His story will not be written, but his suffering, that endures. It becomes part of the fortress, part of Titan itself, and in time, even the walls begin to whisper. When a grey knight begins to fade, his final battle is not fought with blade or faith. It is fought within his own mind. Before death, every knight undergoes the rite of severance, a ritual designed to erase his memories, his humanity, and every trace of self that could be twisted by the warp. It is not mercy, it is containment. The procedure takes place in the Sanctum of Silence, deep beneath Titan's fortress. There, psychic conduits pierce the knight's skull, extracting fragments of thought that shimmer like liquid light. Each fragment is examined by librarians of the Ordo Malleus, their faces hidden behind mirrored helms. They do not look for corruption, they look for attachment, to faces, to names, to moments of weakness. Each memory deemed impure is burned away in psychic flame. To an observer, the process seems mechanical. To the knight, it is agony beyond comprehension. Every prayer, every oath, every glimpse of his brothers, gone. Each erased memory leaves a void, and in that void, the warp presses closer. Some resist the rite. Their faith is strong, but their humanity refuses to die quietly. These are called echoes. When the ritual ends, they still hear voices, not demons, not yet, just their own ghosts, trapped inside what's left of their mind. Those who survive the purge become hollow, perfect, emotionless, unshakable. They are sent back to battle even as fragments of their erased selves haunt the silence within their armor. Those who do not survive are reduced to ash, their essence scattered across Titan's vaults like dust over sacred machinery. To the Imperium, it is a purification. To the Grey Knights, it is oblivion, the slow dismantling of what little remains of the man beneath the armor. A necessary sacrifice, they are told, but even necessity can sound like cruelty when heard in the quiet of your own mind. There are no graves for Grey Knights, no tombs, no monuments, no records. Their deaths are not remembered. They are recycled into legend, purified until nothing remains but duty. When a Grey Knight's life finally ends, his body is not buried. It is returned to Titan. His armor, sanctified by centuries of battle, is dismantled by tech priests under the supervision of chaplains. Every piece is melted, reforged, or repurposed for new initiates. His ashes are mixed with sacred oils and poured into the veins of the fortress itself, feeding the mechanisms that keep Titan alive. He becomes part of the structure, part of the machine that never sleeps. But death is not the end, it is transformation. In the moment before his consciousness fades, the dying knight's soul is offered to the Emperor, not through prayer, but through pain. The psychic energy that once made him a weapon is drawn into containment vaults known as the Choir of Silence. There, thousands of lingering souls hum together, forming a constant psionic barrier that shields Titan from the warp. Their suffering becomes the fortress's strength, their torment, its foundation. No one speaks of them. Their names are gone, their faces forgotten, but their will, and that survives in every whisper that echoes through the metal halls, in every flicker of light that glows within the armor of their successors. And so, even in death, the Grey Knight serves. His flesh becomes fuel, his mind becomes defense, his agony becomes faith. This is the truth of purity. It is not salvation, it is service without end. The eternal cycle of obedience, suffering, and silence. The galaxy will never know their sacrifice, but the Emperor will, and for them, that is enough.